Today, I'm going to share 11 tricks or tactics that realtors and brokers do, not because it's illegal, but because by doing them, it keeps them in the loop and they get paid. Okay. And so we're going to talk about that today on the Furlo Capital Real Estate Podcast, where we dive into the intricacies of passive real estate investing. And our mission is to equip people to invest wisely, whether people try to hold it from them or not, so that together we can build wealth while improving housing. I'm James, and this is my wife, Jessie.
Yes, I am here. I'm a little scarred from puppy bites, but I'm here. I was chatting with someone in the office the other day, and they're like, "Wow, like what happened?" You know, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's just our puppy. He's teething, and I have scratches and bites all over my arms."
And what you did not see or hear was we sat down, we're ready to record, and he started chewing on one of the mic stands, and we're like, "Oh,
stop!"
So we had to.
He has a pile of chewies.
Yeah, but I mean, it's way more interesting to chew that thing.
This is new,
and he just hit a camera. Awesome. So we're gonna go with it. Yay. You know what? That's okay.
Puppies.
Those are some of our secrets that we
right.
have, which isn't much of a secret because we talk about it like every week because he's a troublemaker.
He is a tornado.
Oh, I'm excited for him to get trained up. But here's the deal. I want to talk about some realtor secrets.
Yeah.
And things that they, they're tricks, tactics, however you want to think about it. They're things that they do. And once you know about them, I can talk about a little bit how at least we overcome them. And potentially
this is intriguing to me.
Yeah, I know. That's why I came up with this topic.
What are these secrets?
Yeah. Really, it's a way for them to help create value, is what it is. And that camera is already off, so it is what it is. So the first thing they'll do, sometimes it depends on where you're at. It's either called a whisper listing or a pocket listing.
Okay.
So it's essentially they've got a listing that they, quote, hold in their pocket. They don't just put out right away. And it's to give to people who they like, their friends. So these are things that never hit the MLS.
So is that legal?
Yeah, totally.
Huh.
As long as, as long as they find a buyer and as long as the seller knows
I guess that's what they're signing up to do is help the seller find a buyer.
So like when you worked in the real estate office, right? When your boss had one that was coming up, he would, while it was still getting prepped and ready, he would tell other people about it.
Sure.
And it was kind of that's essentially the equivalent of it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if you really think about it, like he's got a list of buyers already and he knows what they're looking for. So if a property came up that he was like, this matches all of your criteria, like why wouldn't he tell them? It's like a guaranteed sale.
Right.
So
it is, but not necessarily top dollar either. So it's just fast, which, again, most people are okay with it. But the point is that one of the ways that you get around it is A, become friends with brokers, or B, go find those deals yourself, which can be hard to do as a passive investor, which is why sometimes it's nice to piggyback with me because a lot of the deals that I bring also never hit the MLS.
Yeah.
Just because we're out talking to people. So that's the first trick. Second one is that the idea of like, have you ever heard it where they say, hey, call for highest and best offer? We've had that all the time.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do is they're trying to manufacture urgency, trying to get higher things out of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's real, sometimes it's not really real.
Yeah.
And as an investor, though, the trick is to not get into I have to win this deal. We've talked about the line I always like is fall in love with the deal, not the property.
Yeah.
And you got to let the numbers and data rule the day on what you're willing to make for your offer.
Yeah.
So that's something that I know I'm good at. It could be really hard as another investor not to get sucked into that.
Well, and there is some strategy there because you don't just want to give your highest offer first and say, well, these are the numbers. This is what I can afford. It's like you want to go low and then negotiate and have some room and those sorts of things. But like you're saying, don't overbid just because you want to win it.
I didn't write this one down. It's kind of related. Is sometimes people will intentionally put a low price on a house so they get a lot of offers in because everyone goes like, this is a great deal. And then they turn around and say, okay, we're looking for highest and best. And so they let the market decide like how should this thing be priced at.
Right.
And so it's a way of it going like they can get top dollar and going fast. It's potentially a risky gambit, but that's a little trick that
feeding frenzy.
they do. Unbelievable. Number 3 here is sometimes there's a term that's called dual agency. And so that's when the agent represents both sides of the party.
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings about this. I've done deals where this is the case. And, the issue is that it's not dual loyalties has been my experience. Typically, the broker likes one of the two more. Has been my experience. Because it's usually like, it's one of the two sides, and usually it's the buyer. Like, hey, I know the buyer; they'll be perfect for this.
Interesting.
And so they're bringing their friend, and they get both sides of it. It's just potentially, there's just potentially conflicting interests there. Yeah. So for me, it's an interesting deal. You just got to be like choose carefully. Here's what I would say: if you've got a broker who you like, who you've been working with, and they're going to do a dual thing, that's fine. Yeah. If you don't know them and they're wanting to enter you into this type of thing, I'd be very, very weary about it. The reason why they want to do it is they collect twice as big of a commission. And usually they give a discount to the seller because like, hey, instead of me getting 6%, I'll only take 4%, which is still more, but that's the, that's one of the things. Dude, this one drives me bananas. Marketing photos lie. Okay. This one, it kills me. There's wide lenses, ideal lighting, selective angles.
I used to take pictures for the agent that I worked for. And we made it look the best we could make it look. Like some dingy, tiny little bathroom was like, wow, that's like nice.
So the rule is you always got to walk the property. Yeah. Now, so it's interesting. I probably have, a counter opinion of this. I actually think the photo should be worse than the property because think of it in terms of like over-promising, right? You see the photos and you go, that's like that bathroom, right? Amazing bathroom. Then you walk into the house and you go, letdown. Wah, wah. Yeah. What is this? Yeah. And I've actually picked up properties because the listing photos looked amazing. And then you walk in and you're like, dude, this place is kind of dingy. And other people just don't want it.
Yeah, they're like,
we've had to work with that with some of our listings that now that we're doing flips, like we'll put photos on there. And I've more than once gone back to the photographer and said, these are too nice.
Wow.
Like people are going to be disappointed. I want you to represent real life for me. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just an overpromise. Now, the pushback I've gotten is like, well, everybody touches up their photos and ours will look like garbage if we don't do this. This is the game. And to which I'm like, okay. I don't know if I care, but I mean, we usually find a happy medium. Sure. Where it's like you're allowed to do some touch-up stuff, but not much. Now, with the advent of AI, you know how we were talking about selective angles to make sure you like stuff gets cut out? No, they just wizard it out. It's totally like so wild. It's totally a thing. It's very wild. Again, I don't know how I feel about it. That's right. Okay, here's another one that I don't think gets talked about much is that the real value, honestly, is in the land. It's not in the structure. And I think it's like, they talk about location all the time. But I just think that's really true. And I think a lot of like fixer-uppers, they're really just kind of like their land value plays that are in disguise, where they've found a good location, like this is not a great property. And so we're going to bring the property up to the standard for this location. It really is, which I guess is...
can you really even separate the two?
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, I think location. I think you can.
I mean, in certain cases, that makes sense to me. If you have like a bigger plot of land and there's something else to offer, but it's like a city lot, I guess location does matter. So the plot of land and where it is, that matters.
But I think what a lot of agents, to some degree, it's right. They just focus on the house and the features. Yeah. And they're like, so what if you drive 20 minutes?
Sure. Yeah, and it's like, no, that is actually...
That still turns out as number one.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's another one. I like this one. When you see like a price reduced, that doesn't necessarily equal a motivated seller.
Right.
Right? If anything, it's... they're just trying to get more movement in the market. Because anytime you do a repricing, it shows back up on everyone's search who's in that area for the MLS. Yep. Or if you see something newly listed, oftentimes they'll pull it off for a little bit and then put it back on. And it resets the days on market. There's a whole bunch of things that it does.
It looks new, even though it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. So you really want to look for other signals of distress beyond just, price drop. And I think like days on market is a big one. Whether or not they're an absentee owner is another big one. A price drop, it's a signal. But again, I just like, I think too often you can fall into the, oh my gosh, it's dropped.
Yeah.
And I mean, Zillow, obviously, like they highlight it on their website and other places. Sure. I get it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're motivated.
So does that mean that you shouldn't necessarily, you know how like realtors will put you on an update list of like, okay, here's what you're looking for. I'm going to send you listings. And every time a new one pops up, like you'll get a notification or something. Does that mean you can't really rely on what they're sending you?
No, you can. You just got to recognize that it's some other agent is playing a game to get it to show back up on your screen.
So if you see something pop back up, it's not necessarily
lower. Which, by the way, if I can get on my soapbox, it drives me bonkers that realtors, you tell them, hey, I'm looking for, a 3-2 with a central air and like no carpet. I don't know, just throw out a couple things. Sure. And they'll be like, totally hear you. So we're going to set up the search. We're going to go from 2 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms. And, we'll do... with cadets in addition to central air, and we'll do maybe like we'll also just throw in carpet in the bedroom. Yeah, like they set up a wider search than what you told them. Yeah, and that's just like what the heck, and it just creates a whole bunch of noise for me to then sift through. And the interesting thing is like the research isn't how do I want to say it? It's unfounded based on the research of what people pick that actually works.
Interesting.
Yeah, if anything, you just create decision fatigue for them, and so it takes them longer to decide on what they want.
Yeah, well, what we found when I was working with the realtor, he had this process where he almost like, this is a side note, but instead of doing that to try to determine and scope down what they actually wanted, he would just do that up front. So ahead of time would go through this process of like, all right, what do you like? What do you like? Are you aligned? How much would you rate that? How important is that? To ask a ton of questions, really narrow it down, and then just give them those listings. He'd actually only look at maybe like 2 to 5.
Yeah. So which I think is a good way to do it.
Sure.
Respect to the people that they told you, but that just bothers me.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Number 7 here, cap rates can be massaged. So a cap rate is a ratio of the income of the property divided by the price. And so, that's it's the net operating income, I should say, of the property divided by the price is what it is. And
how can that be massaged? It seems like that's like, those are both.
Let's
numbers.
say you decide to redo the flooring. Is that maintenance or is that a long-term capital expenditure?
I don't know.
If it's a maintenance thing, it shows up in the NOI. If it's a long-term capital expenditure, it does not. Let's say that you're going to sell in the next year, and so you decide not to replace that flooring, which you normally would have done, which now your NOI looks higher.
That makes sense.
Happens all the time.
You're not just tweaking numbers to tweak them.
Yeah.
There's decisions.
Or the other one that will drive me batty is... they'll publish, this is a 7 cap or an 8 cap. And it's all based off of future could be numbers. And they're like, man, all you got to do is find cheaper insurance and do this, get your rents up to here. And it'll look awesome. Yeah. And they'll put an asterisk around it. So they're being honest, but like, man, that's something that drives me bananas.
What do you call that when you're like, you're promising something in the future? There's a term you used to use. Vaporware?
Well, that's like for software, but I always call it perfect math.
Perfect math.
Or stuff like that. So like for me, I always do my own underwriting. I actually have a column where I go, these were their numbers. And then I have, these are actually my numbers, both when I take it over and then after I do my thing.
Interesting.
So I actually have 3 columns there, but that's the kind of thing that you want someone who does that, who looks into those types of things. Number 8, and this is kind of similar. I guess I bumped it into the cap rate one, was deferred maintenance can get hidden, right? And so it's things like, it's related, but it's like, just throw on a coat of paint and not actually fix something. Yep. That kind of thing.
And then in your amazing listing photos, you can't really tell.
Right.
It's wow, that looks really nice.
Yeah, and so they'll just do the quick cosmetic fixes, which I mean I get, and but that's one of those tricks that they do. Like just throw a coat of paint on it, like which does cover up a lot of stuff.
Yep.
But may not be good, and it's really hard to suss that stuff out. That's another reason it's good to walk through. It's good to know what you're talking about. Get it inspected.
Find a good inspector.
Yeah. I remember, dude, it was when we bought our first single family home, and I mean that house was. There wasn't anything to cover up. We knew it was bad, but we were going to stinking sweet deal on it, so it didn't matter.
Yep.
But I remember on one of the posts, there was some dry rot, and the inspector just stuck his screwdriver in it and just started doing circles. Yep. And I was like, we're not going to fix this place up. Stop destroying it. It was like we bought a fixer-upper and weren't going to fix it up, which
we're just going to wait until it makes sense.
So we sat with that stupid post with it all whittled out there for like 5 years until we finally moved on. I was just like, man.
We did fix it up and then rent it out.
Yes, we replaced.
But we were willing to put up with
everything for the new people.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was just like, what are you doing?
He's like, look at this.
Oh, it's
just
so much
falling
rot.
right out there.
I'm like, yeah, I know. Have you seen the price?
Just leave it.
Jeez, I get it. Yeah. Anyways,
usually that's a good thing to find a good inspector. He'll point things out.
Yeah. Number 9, listing agents often, they don't know rent laws, or at least they don't. I mean, they should, but they don't keep up on them.
Sure.
It's been because they don't deal in that world.
Right. It's not that's not their day to day.
Yeah. And so, and Oregon, like that matters. One of a recent one, which most realtors know about this, is often when you're buying a place and you get under contract, it's somewhere between 30 and 60 days to close, right? And then when you have to move in, within, I believe it's like 30 days of buying the place.
Okay.
Is part of the
closing date.
Yeah, that's like one of the lender requirements. I think I'm getting my numbers right. I don't sell, so I don't know. But in Oregon, for renters, if you are terminating a contract for quote a landlord reason, you have to give them 90 days. To move out. And so there can become a potential timing issue that happens there, where if you get it under contract and you're like, okay, we're doing our due diligence, now we're ready, we know we're going to close.
Yeah, it's like, you can't do that in 60 days.
Too late to give the 90-day notice.
Yeah.
If you were going to wait until it was a guaranteed thing. Now, Oregon just passed a rule to help solve that problem because everyone was like these numbers don't work.
They should align, yeah.
And so it was causing issues. So they're allowing for you to essentially pay to get them out faster. Or it's either that or they're requiring banks to wait a little bit longer.
Okay.
One of the two.
Sure.
Yeah. But anyways, oftentimes they just don't pay attention and they're just kind of rolling and doing whatever.
Like, the time will work. It's great. It's like,
something to be aware of. And obviously, we know all the rules. I'm a property manager, so I'm aware of what we can and can't do.
Sure.
At least on the rental side of things.
Yeah.
Number 10, the MLS filters out creative terms and stuff. The MLS is just not designed for creative deals. It's just like, here's the price.
Standard deals. That's what fits.
Yeah. And oftentimes it'll just say in a little description, like open to creative finance or seller financing or something like that. But like the entire system is not set up. And oftentimes an agent, they've heard the terms, but they don't really get it. And it can be harder for them to get their commission if it's a super creative deal. And so they just don't like doing it. And so they're just like, nope, don't trust them, whatever. Even they're like, dude, we have all sorts of paperwork and things that we can put in order that reduces the risk. Go listen to last week's episode about the unknown type of risk and how to overcome it. But yeah, I think there's a ton of agents who they just they don't.
They're not willing to list creative financing,
or even
deals.
entertain creative offers.
Yeah,
that's been a hard one for us to try to crack, and so we don't get very creative on the MLS when we go after those deals. Instead, we just make crazy lowball cash offers. And they go for those. And we go, all right, whatever. And then we receive funds.
So it's typically things that aren't listed that you're doing that creative financing and seller financing and interesting setups.
And agents, they just, as a general rule, don't want to touch it. Yep.
All right.
I know. I feel like if you're an agent who could figure that out and get good at it, you'd have a lot of business. But most don't. Yeah. And then finally, number 11, the true gold is in the follow-up. Yeah. I think there's a lot of situations, and this is something that I have since learned since our few deals. I mean, our agent was amazing, but I do think we took no's too easily and could have done a better job of following up on stuff. And that's something we're getting better about now. Yeah. Is if someone tells us no, just go round to it. Like, let's try this. So part of why I'm in this amazing getup is we just made a film for submitting an LOI that we wanted to submit to the people because they said no. And we were like, wow, that was kind of weird. Like, and so I wanted to be able to represent it myself. Yeah. And because I just don't think the agent they're working with gets it, I guess. Sure. And so, but we submitted it. They said no. And 1 month later coming back saying, hey, we've been thinking more about this. What about this? And let's present it this way and see what happens. And I picked up a few deals now where it's like a month or two passes and then they come back and, say yes because, time has passed. And so I think there's just a lot of agents where like, let's just do the next one and the next one. Let's just keep submitting offers. They don't necessarily loop back to those original properties. Part of it depends on how hot the market is. Like it may not be around, but I think a lot of agents could do better. They just move on to the next one and instead of being patient with potentially the house that you really want. Yeah. So, So what does this mean for passive investors, right? I think it means a couple things. Number one, you want a sponsor who knows these types of tricks, knows how to overcome them. Yep. Who isn't fooled by them.
Who's able to work with agents and work around them. And
and just remember, like, you're not just investing in a deal. You're investing in that system, in that advantage, in that knowledge that you may not have the time or expertise to take advantage of. And so that's some other notes, but they're not important. I feel like it's a good landing spot. I just things to be aware of with agents. And again, they're not malicious. They're not trying to be mean. Sure. I think they're just like, they're working for their commission and they've got a system that most people use that I think works well. And when you start to deviate outside of them, they don't get paid. Yeah. And so it makes sense that they would do it. But I also think a lot of them just don't even talk about the other stuff, which, I mean, I get it too. There's things I don't talk about because
if you're not an expert in it, then it's uncomfortable to talk about.
Yeah. Though I would say, like, on the property management front, man, a lot of times if someone asks me to manage it, like, why don't you do it yourself? Like, I was like, just curious because it can be done. Yeah. And which is fun because ultimately, if they do come around and say yes, I'm like, okay, like they
thought this through.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah. And I've had a couple people like, you really think I can do it? I'm like, yeah, I think you can. Yeah. I got one, not a client, because she had a situation where she had a house full of people. And she was like, man, if they move out, like, I think I can do better renting by the room. I don't want to tackle this. Don't want to be my thing. And so my advice to her was actually like, which again, I didn't have to do this because I would have been like, sweet, yeah, I'll pick up a new big house tenant or client. And I was like, well, I'll tell you this. Let me give you some advice on how to present the rent increase to them, which I did help to draft the email. And I was like, and if they say yes, you can totally handle this because they're existing. You know what you're doing. You got the relationship. Like, you don't need me for this. But once they move out, give me a call. And I got an email a couple days ago. She goes, good news. They said yes. That's awesome. Thanks for the help. And they even pushed back a little bit on it. And I was like, all right. Here's how you message it. So that's, so I push people in that direction. So I think more realtors could get better about that. Like, man, do you need to list with me? Like, maybe there's some other ways to do it.
Interesting.
Maybe. I don't know. So anyways, if you would like yourself access to the kind of deals that a realtor won't tell you about, check us out at furlo.com. And you can learn more about our investing thesis and what we do there, the types of deals that we buy, which often are ones that don't qualify for bank financing right away. If it's a short-term deal or if it's a longer one, like, they're just complicated and cool. And so that's what you can find out there. Sign up for the email and you can learn all about how we invest. And it would be great. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.